All right. Are you, Nick? Take it over.
All right, what's up, guys? Sorry for the delay. We've been running into some technical issues with this interview software, but hopefully you guys can see us now. So we are coming at you live. It's going to be me and Anthony today, and we're going to be covering, I think it's like module 3 or 4, where we talk about the pre-launch phase. So at this point, we'll be talking about and answering questions about the things that you want to do and make sure you get done before your product actually arrives at the warehouse. Not a lot of people know this, but much of the work that comes with launching actually is done before the product arrives at the warehouse. And you can really cut down the time of how long it takes you to launch by doing all your work up front. And this is a lot of what I've done. We've launched, again, over 250 products. I can't even count anymore. But yeah, we've launched a lot of products, and we've really nailed down the process of how to get all these things together. So we're going to be briefly walking through a couple of these things. As you know, we also have the A to Z checklist. So that kind of covers some of the pre-launch stuff, but we'll be diving into things like keyword research, copywriting, photography, all that kind of stuff.
All right, cool, Nick. Thanks for the introduction. So I just shared it to the Facebook group. So shortly we're going to have a whole bunch of people pop up on here. But like you were saying, with the pre-launch, it's super important that, why is my camera always blurry whenever I use it?
Yeah.
And I have like good internet here. I don't know. But basically during the pre-launch, you said it's really important to get things like up and running. And like, what do you mean by that? Right. Because when items are being shipped for like those 90 days, like what are things that people should be doing? What's up, Benjamin? But what are things that people should be doing in the meantime while they're waiting for their inventory to arrive at Amazon?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a ton of stuff. I think a big part of it is just making sure that your listing is really good to go. And that means making sure that you're doing your keyword research. So doing a lot of in-depth keyword research and applying that to your copywriting. So making sure you're optimizing every single facet of your listing, optimizing your title, optimizing your copy, your bullets, your product description, your enhanced brand content, and your back-end keywords. Also making sure that that your photography is up to speed and that you have all the graphics and design work done around that. I know from personal experience when I shop on Amazon that it's rare. I mean, it's very rare that I actually read all the details, right? That I even read the bullets, really. I'm looking at pictures and I'm looking at reviews. So it's often that I say that if the pictures can't sell the product itself and doesn't have all the information that you need to make a purchase decision, then your listing isn't optimized well enough for those conversions. So that's kind of the perspective that I look at it. So we want to make sure that before the product arrives, everything's optimized and it's ready to go, because we talk about that 14-day window, right? And right now Amazon prioritizes or gives you 14 days to really maximize from when you launch. So it's more important now than ever to make sure that your listing is fully optimized to the best of your ability prior to launching. We used to, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And real quick, I just wanted to ask, there's a couple of people that are tuning in right now. I just want to ask, like, where are you guys tuning in from? Like, comment below where you guys are tuning in from. Just curious on, like, who's in the audience right now, who's watching. I know our boy Benjamin Tan is from Singapore. I don't know what time it is over there. Benjamin, what time is it over there in Singapore? Just curious. But yeah, where are you guys tuning in from? Let us know in the comments below. But yeah, sorry to interrupt you, Nick. You were just saying right before that, what was it about the listing thing?
Yeah, we're on a free trial. Still trying to decide if we want to buy it. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah. No, you were just saying something and I interrupted you. I forgot what it was because I just wanted to see where everyone's from. Yeah.
No, I was just saying that, it's important to maximize that 14-day window. So we used to launch products and maybe have our listing optimized like 50%. And then we'd spend the next 2 or 3 weeks as the listing is live to basically, re-optimize it and make it better. And you should be doing that. But I would say you should try to get your listing to 90% before activating the listing, before the product arrives at the warehouse. That way, once it's arrived, everything is set in motion. And that includes PPC as well.
Got it. So we got people tuning in from Michigan, SC, I assume that's South Carolina. My boy Brandon, I met on the FBA Rockstars cruise. Luciana from Toronto. Benjamin says 9:20 in the morning. So he's like 12 hours difference from us.
Whoa.
But okay, so in terms of the keyword research that they're doing, right? So, okay, Nick, I know there's tons of tools out there like There's certain tools I use in my business. Is there like
Yeah.
one tool or two tools that you really like using within your Amazon business to do keyword research, right? And I guess why do you use that
Yeah.
tool?
Yeah. So, I mean, back in the day, you could only use merchant words, or you could only use like Google keywords, right? Because there weren't many options for doing keywords, and a lot of these were based on guesses. Personally, now, I mean, there have been a slew of tools that come out with actual real data from Amazon. And so I think this is like one of the primary things that you should be doing. You should be using tools that actually pull real search volume from Amazon. And so a couple of those that come to mind are going to be like Helium 10, Seller.tools, which I personally use. And we also have a group discount code, 20% off if you guys want to do that. It's in the crafting guide. But I personally like to do that because then you'll know early on whether or not those are keywords that you want to target. So let's break down Seller Tools. What I do is I'm going to go ahead and let's say right now Seller Tools is based on you can only add the SKU to Seller Tools if you have it in your inventory. But what you can do is you can just add your inventory immediately, and then you can just plug it into Seller Tools and then start pulling in keywords by entering competitor ASINs and then filtering based off of exact search volume. And then you can just filter it from highest to lowest. And then I'll prioritize and choose like my top 10 primary keywords I want to target in my copy. And then I'll also have secondary keywords that I'll be targeting as well. But those are the keywords I'm going to be using to guide my copy and also to guide my PPC and everything else.
Got it. And then before you move forward, you're saying you choose. So I know within Seller Tools, there's like there's exact and broad. The reason I assume they're choosing exact is because it's more easier to use those in targeting for PPC and within your ad copy. And that's why you sort by exact, and that's your preference of doing everything in terms of the data and broad and like the relevancy score.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and one really important thing to recognize, and I think you brought up a good point, is relevancy, right? So, relevancy is super, super important. And if you go in Seller Tools, there's something called relevancy, and there's a percentage. So let's say, for example, I'm selling garlic presses, and I know the keyword is garlic press, the product is garlic press. Amazon is literally going to give that listing a score from 1 to 100% to basically say how relevant Amazon thinks you are to that keyword. Now, if you're 100% relevant for that keyword, then that's great. That means your PPC is going to be cheaper. That means it's going to be easier for you to rank for those keywords. However, if let's say your product is a garlic press and your relevancy is only 40% or 50%, that means Amazon doesn't really think you're relevant for that keyword. And it's going to be a lot harder for you to rank and index for those keywords. So what you can do to change those levers around is to basically add those keywords throughout your copy a little more, make sure that you're indexed for it, doing a bunch of checks just to make sure that those primary keywords are repeated throughout your listing and that it's clear to Amazon when they scan your listing that you are relevant for those keywords. So that's going to be really important, and you can pull that data directly from Seller Tools.
Got it. And that makes a lot of sense. So I think, I don't know, me personally, maybe a year ago, I didn't even know relevancy was a thing. Like those of you guys watching right now, did you guys know like what relevancy was? Are you guys taking into account that of like what the tools you're using? Because I know there's certain tools, I believe, last time I used Merchant Words, they didn't have a relevancy like score. I know they had like the broad and they had the exact, but did you guys know that, right? And then also like you guys watching us on the live right now, what tools are you guys using for keyword research? I'm just curious because there's so many out there, right? And I personally like using like as many keywords tools as I can just to, because I feel like they're all just a little different and they show different keywords, right? So like in my stack, personally, I have Zon Words right now, which is completely free from what I understand for the time being. So use it, take advantage of that right now and optimize it. Viral Launch just released a new one that they've been using. And then Solar Tools is also like another one that I started using because of you and Fernando. And I really love it. But just comparing all of them, and I still actually use Keyword Inspector, even though it's run by James Herbal, piece of shit that is stealing people's like drop shipping information. But it still works good and still produces solid results for me. So that's what I have in my stack. It looks like Delia, I don't know if I'm saying that right, but he's saying I use Helium 10, but it's expensive. Yeah, I think Helium 10 is a bit expensive, but they do have a lot of powerful things within their suite. Marianne also says she also does use Helium 10. Yeah. And then Will from Dallas, or boy Will from Dallas, uses seller tools, which I assume that's what ST is.
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
cool.
Yeah,
Okay.
I want to piggyback on Keyword Inspector because I think Keyword Inspector does something that's unique compared to a lot of other tools, which is that they actually pull where an ASIN is ranked across all keywords. So let's say, again, let's use a garlic press example. If it's garlic press, kitchen tools, all that stuff, I can see where my competitor is ranked, based off of all those keywords. So that's really helpful for finding longer tail keywords where they might be ranked number one. And so, in terms of a strategy, it's easy to rank for longer tail keywords, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find all those longer tail relevant keywords and then target those as well. And once you start ranking for those longer tail keywords, it'll be easier to rank for your primary keywords too.
Yeah. And that makes a lot of sense. So John in the audience, John, the founder of My Solar Pal, but he wanted to let us know about a free keyword tool called Google Keyword Planner. I definitely use that within my stack, and that's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
Michael D coming again and trolling us again says, "What's up, Fernando and Anthony?" So yeah, obviously this is Nick and this is me, Anthony. So Michael, try and press our buttons. I see what you're trying to do. So Hume, Tenzin Stack, Solar Tools onwards, but yeah. At the very end of the day, though, right, what's most important, right, is I know this is pre-launch, but we're talking, so initially when you get your keywords in there, but ideally once your listing is launched, you always have to be continually optimizing your listing, right? Keep optimizing it, understand what keywords still need to remain or need to be added to your listing, right? And then keep testing and you'll see different results. You start ranking for different keywords the more you move it within the title to the bullets to description from back-end keywords, right? From what I've seen in my experience, if I want to rank for a certain keyword and I only have it say in my back-end search terms, say it's the word tennis ball, right? But I don't have the word tennis ball within my title. If by moving it to my title, generally I don't know, Amazon, from what I've seen, puts more weight towards it. Is that something you've seen too, Nick, by moving certain keywords from the back-end search term spot or subject matter spot to, from that to different spots within your listing?
I think things are constantly changing at Amazon. It used to be the case that the title was the most important. I still think that is the case anecdotally. But, a lot of people that we talk to, right, Leo and everyone else, says that, as long as those keywords are in your listing, then you should be good to go. But I like to just really emphasize the importance of the title. One thing that makes me feel like the title is more important, and I found this anecdotally through my own experience, is that I like to put my main keywords, the most relevant, at the beginning, because remember, I think it's 50% of purchases are on mobile, right? So when that's the case, if just think about when you're shopping on your app, you only see the first couple characters, right? So that's why it's super important to put those primary keywords in the beginning, because that's what people are going to see. And that's why I like to put also the quantity amount. If it's a 4-pack, I'll put it at the beginning, a 2-pack, because that might be my main selling point. My competitor is selling a 1-pack and I'm selling a 4-pack, let's say. And if that's the case, I'm going to put the 4-pack in the beginning of the title so that when it shows related products, it'll show that, hey, I'm looking at a 1-pack, but there's a 4-pack for a better value and I want to purchase that one. So I don't think it necessarily, in terms of SEO purposes, it might make a massive difference where it's placed in the title. I think it more has to do with the buying behavior. When someone is looking at the listing on their mobile phone, they're more likely to see those keywords.
True. And that's another good thing that Nick brought up too. You definitely want to check your listing on mobile. I think a lot of us always work on our computer, but on mobile, right, like Nick is saying, certain text gets cut off faster than it does on your desktop. Right, so you kind of want to identify, if you're selling a product that has a 2-pack, 4-pack, like Nick was saying, right? You want your customer to know that, especially if they're on mobile, because if they're just scrolling and you have the exact same pictures, right, and it doesn't look like a 2-pack visually, then they're not going to see it unless it's in your title. So make sure you put that within the fold before it breaks off and everything.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's another tip. I mean, a lot of people don't do this, but the subject matter field is another place where you can index additional keywords. So the backend search terms, it's only 250 characters that you'll index. Even though they allow you 5,000 characters, but only 250 will index. In the subject matter field, you can index 50 characters per line. So that's an additional 250 characters, or sorry, 250 characters or words that you can add into your listing that a lot of people don't take advantage of. And from my understanding and my experience, brand names aren't really filtered through the subject matter field, at least for now, as of today. So you can still put in some kind of brand names in the subject matter field so that you can rank for those brands. That's a little black hat trick. I don't know how long that'll last, but that's something that we've seen to be true.
Yeah, and I've seen that true too. And I really want to emphasize on that point too, like the lucky people that are watching this live, or anyone watching the replay of this, right? Use a subject matter field, right? And use it to your advantage while you still can, right? So if you're, you have like a kitchen product, right? And you're selling like something very similar to like, say, KitchenAid, right? Then you can put KitchenAid within the subject matter field and you can still rank for the word KitchenAid, right? It's possible to do that if you have it within the subject matter field. However, in certain areas, if you were to put KitchenAid or certain brands within or like back-end search terms within your title, you will get like the ban hammer, you will get like the IP thing coming down, or like Amazon may like pause your account or something. So just definitely as a heads up, it is a little more on the gray hat, black hat side, but the subject matter field is one of the areas that you can definitely take advantage of right now that most people do not definitely know about. If you guys did know about that, or if you guys didn't know about that, like let me know in the comments. I'm just curious if you guys did or did not know about that.
Yeah, and I see a couple questions. Badra is asking about the subject matter field. Is it in the back end? Yeah, it's in the back end. It's either above or below the search terms. So it's going to be in the same same field or same like section.
Yeah, and just clarify that more, Badra. Essentially, when you're in your product and you hit like edit item, and you go to the back where it shows like back-end search terms and like all those extra fields, subject matter field is also in that area. So that's where it is. Brandon, my boy, Brandon from the Rockstars Cruise asks, is any insight on the newer EBC picture text?
So EBC, I think this plays into the whole photography piece, which we haven't really covered yet. EBC is awesome. We use it for all our listings, and we've found anywhere from like a 3 to 5% increase in conversions by taking true advantage of the EBC. So just think about it this way: like people buy through images, right? It's rare that you're actually reading the bullets. It's more for SEO purposes. People want to buy through images. So EBC, or enhanced brand content, for people who don't know what it is, when you get brand registered, you have access to basically be able to create a better description field that includes images, and you can create a beautiful page under in your description section. And we found it to be awesome. It's awesome to convey additional things that you want to convey about your brand. You can talk about your brand story, and you can also add more images and lifestyle images. So you'll notice that like all the top guys are always using this. So that's why I always really push making sure that if you were just looking at your images alone, is it enough information for someone to actually buy the product? So literally just like stop looking at the text. The text is, people aren't going to read that. They're going to look at price and the images. So make sure all the features are conveyed in your images. Put graphics or infographics stating like, oh, this is how many pieces are in there. Oh, this part is waterproof, blah, 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 with arrows pointing to it. Make it look really well designed. And even you can have a one image that actually talks about, the reviews, like positive reviews and quotes from people, in your reviews, which actually gives social validation and proof to your product. And you can fill up an additional photography space. So those are just some ideas of ways that you can stand apart from your competition. You can even do a comparison showing like generic product. This is like what they offer. This is what you offer. We've taken advantage of that, and we've definitely seen a lift in conversions just based off of those alone. I definitely think that EBC is awesome. We utilize it. And if you have it, definitely take advantage of it.
Brandon, did that answer the question? Because if I had that question, I think that definitely answered it. But just real quick, I want to let you guys know that this Friday, we're also having another private label MBA workshop. So if you guys missed the last one that we had, our very first one that we had yesterday? Was it yesterday we just had it?
Yeah, it was yesterday, first one.
Yeah,
awesome.
Our first one we just had yesterday. Then make sure you guys register for the one that we're having this Friday. I put in the comments below But yeah, make sure you guys register for the content, or not for the content, for the workshop. Another question we got is from Tom here. Tom here asks, is the subject matter field limited to certain product categories? Do you have any insight on that, Nick?
I mean, so we sell in a couple different categories, and I haven't seen it being limited for any category. But there are also a ton of categories that we don't sell into. So I'm not going to speak for all categories. I know that apparel is really different from, let's say, like home and kitchen or patio and outdoor. So I would say that for most categories, the subject matter field is available, but I haven't sold in every single category, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, yeah, and I'm in the same boat, Tom. So, Tom, like I have been able to use it in all the categories that I'm currently selling in. So, like home kitchen, toys, home improvement, yeah, and then BISS. So all of those have actually worked for me. Can you explain the subject matter for me? Okay, you explained that. Oh, and then Badra asks a good question. Do you have to have the item trademarked before brand registry can be done? So this kind of ties into EBC. But yes, in order to do EBC, right, you also need brand registry. And in order to get brand registry, you need your trademark. So just kind of like reverse that. In order to like do all that, you need to get your item trademarked first before you can get a brand registered. And once you get a brand registered, then you have access to EBC and all of that.
Yep. Yeah. And here's a tip, like we have a couple trademarks that are in the works, and you can't get, brand registry until you actually have a registration number that's approved by the USPTO, right? And that's going to take from the moment of your application. I mean, we applied, I think, early this year, and then it's already been 6 months and we haven't gotten the registration number. So we can't get brand registry without having that registration number. And it takes, depending on how long, the US office takes, it could take up to 8 to 12 months, depending on how busy they are. So here's a tip. You can actually file for a trademark in Mexico. And I've heard, and we have people in our $1 Million Seller group who've done this, where it goes through a lot faster. It's like half the time. And once you have that registration number, it actually applies to the US as well. So you can apply that in US, Canada, everywhere else.
Yeah, and that's like a quick tip. So I know that Leo has a service that's part of like the Zon Pages suite and everything. I can't recall what the website is right now. I'll look it up and I'll post it in the comments below. But basically, if you apply in like Mexico, and I think I just heard maybe it was like Germany or some other country in Europe, you could actually get your trademark within 3 months or so, like really, really fast, right? However, it won't protect you in the US or anything, but it will allow you access to brand registry and basically protect you on the Amazon in a way, and then you have access to EBC. So it just really depends on how long you want to wait, risk reward and whatnot, but it can be worth it, and it is an option to kind of look into if your product is taking off and you're really serious about it, to just get that competitive head start before the competitors have access to EBC or anything like that, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So Benjamin said that UK is 3 months for a trademark. Yeah, I've heard something similar too. Yeah, and that's also approved, I think, on Amazon as well. I personally haven't done anything with UK trademarks. Here's a tip related to UK. Actually, it's kind of unrelated, but Amazon, especially if you're brand registered, you're going to need GS1 barcodes. And those are barcodes where you have to pay GS1 every single year for those barcodes, to license those barcodes. And don't buy, because we just had to deal with this massive hassle where we bought barcodes from a reseller, nationwide barcodes, and those are not accepted because it's not tied to your brand name. So we had to go through this entire ordeal to get permission from the original purchaser. So what you can do, GS1 barcodes are super expensive in the US. If you buy GS1 barcodes in the UK, for some reason, it's cheaper. And they're legitimate, and you can tie them directly to your brand. So that's a tip that you guys should definitely take advantage of if you want to be brand.
For those of you who didn't catch that, Nick, could you repeat that one more time, because I didn't totally catch that either.
Okay. So obviously you need a UPC code, right? So you need UPC codes for your products. Now, Amazon, if you want to be brand registered, they're now going to make sure that you have something called a GS1 barcode. And a GS1 is the organization that licenses these barcodes across the world. And there are a ton of resellers that sell barcodes, but they're not officially licensed from GS1, or they're simply just resold, right? And so what happens is when you buy these barcodes, it's tied to an original company, And if it doesn't match your company exactly, Amazon is going to disqualify it and say that, hey, your UPC doesn't match the original holder of these UPC codes, and it doesn't match your brand name. So we're not going to let you, brand register this specific item. And it's going to be really difficult for you to make any changes to your listing if you're brand registered. So it's a huge pain in the ass. So I highly recommend that you make sure that you buy legit GS1 barcodes, which is expensive. But if you buy those GS1 barcodes from the UK website, it's a lot cheaper. So there's a tip.
A pro tip, basically buy GS1 barcodes in the UK.
Hey, Badra.
On the UK website?
Yeah, Badra, I'll post that in the in our private label MBA Facebook group. I'll make sure that you can get access and you know where to purchase the GS1 barcode.
Okay, yeah, because I don't think we included a video on that, but that is definitely a great tip.
Yep.
The private label course. I guess really quick, moving on to the next question, right? I think it's from Min. He asks, for supplements, how would you determine the keywords to target for a custom blend supplement? Right? I think, in my opinion, it's kind of like similar to like any other way you would do keyword research, right? But because it is a custom blend, then you might have access to more keywords because it is, like more different things are inside of it. But yeah, what do you think, Nick?
So, from my experience with supplements, I feel like there's usually like a primary ingredient, right? Like a primary thing that people are looking for. So let's say, I don't know, like a fiber supplement, right? Maybe you could add a fiber supplement and add some extra stuff to the fiber supplement, but the primary thing is still going to be the fiber ingredient. So it's likely that someone's going to look up fiber supplement for this person, for women, for men, or whatever. And so I think you'd have to still make that primary ingredient part of your keyword. And then all the additional stuff is just an additional thing that sells the product once they pull up the search results that separates you from your competition. Because again, I mean, it's hard to create demand for a brand new product on Amazon, right? You're doing it based off of SEO and keywords. So you're going to have to try to make sure that you're leveraging the high search volume for the primary ingredient that you're targeting, and hope that your special blend is enough to drive someone to purchase your product over another person. That's been my experience. Okay,
cool. And then I know we got a couple other questions here, but like before we jump into the other questions, I think a really good point we should probably talk about a little bit in terms of the whole pre-launching section is pictures, right? Photography. So having your pictures optimized before they get to Amazon, right? Nick, do you have any tips off the bat of how someone can just be ready with like awesome pictures prior to, while they're waiting?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think a standard practice should be that while you're waiting for your products to arrive, that you should be just like analyzing all your competition hardcore. Look at your top 5 competitors and just look at their images, dissect every single image, and also look at it from the perspective of search results, right? Like when you type in your top 5 or top 10 keywords, and you look at all the results and you look at the main images, what is something that can stand apart from the rest? So one example is, let's say like food containers, for example. You could easily sell a food container and it's literally just a blank food container, or you could make it look good by adding like fruit inside or having it look fully meal prepped. You want to make sure that people can imagine themselves using it. And you also want to use color to make your listing pop out from the other results. I think every little bit counts. And usually red is a good color to include in your listing, especially if it matches or blends well with the colors of your product. But red is a color that stands out. So try to include that somehow with props and your image. I think that's really, really key because, your main image is something, if you have a good main image, it's going to make your PPC easier. It's going to make your related click through easier. It's going to make, your traffic go up because more people are going to click on it. And it really solves the traffic problem in a lot of ways. And so I found by just modifying a main image that I could easily just increase my traffic by a significant amount, anywhere from like 10 to 15%. It's crazy by just choosing the right one. So that's something that I really encourage people to do, is to really just spend a lot of time analyzing exactly how you want to make your images look. So when you direct it to your photographer, a lot of people give free rein to the photographer to do whatever they want. Photographers, they don't know, right? They don't know what your competitors are doing. They don't know what it looks like. So, in the course, we really highlight this. We show people how to create a creative guide, creative direction for the photographer to basically show them exactly, what kind of style you're going for. And it will include like our competitors' images in there. Say, we want it to look like this, but these are the modifications we want to adjust, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. And so that's where, we try to get as many variations done as possible based off of like what our competitors are doing. Now, in addition to that, we're going to take as many images as possible in as many different angles as possible against a white background. And then we're going to use our designer. Right now, we have an in-house designer, but you could find someone on Fiverr, and you can get them to basically plug, this product against a bunch of different lifestyle images. So you can get stock photos and put them, on a kitchen table or on a picnic blanket, all that kind of stuff. And it's a really cheap way to make your photography stand out. So you can get those lifestyle images without paying an arm and a leg. Because really where the extra cost in getting your photography done is in the lifestyle images where, you have to get a model, you have to get, a dog or baby, that's really expensive. So if you are able to get, your product done or photography done in as many angles as possible, then it's going to be easy for any designer to just plug that image into, a lifestyle image. So that's what I highly encourage that you do. I think, you have 8 to 9 images on Amazon, depending on, what kind of seller you are. And I highly encourage that, you take advantage of all that space, but really try to, hit all the points, try to have social validation, right? Include some quotes from really good reviews with the image of your product. Have a feature, a hero image where you're including all the features of your product and it highlights it. It has close-ups within the image. You guys have seen that. You know what I'm talking about. You could have another image that highlights your brand, if it comes with a warranty, all that kind of stuff that highlights why they should buy from you over someone else. There's a ton of different ideas, and we go into detail in the course as to all the different variations that you can create around images.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and real quick, there's a couple of you guys within the chat that are our students who are asking about who we use and whatnot. We have that all listed within the FAQ section and the resources section of our thing. But for everyone else that's like outside in the public group, we have access to the guys that we use, some of the guys we have used in the past in terms of graphic design, photography, and it's all listed within the graphic guide. So make sure you guys check that out if you guys have any questions on or want some recommendations to compare on like who we use and whatnot. So yeah, but Nick, that was all like really, really good like photography tips. I really liked how you like talked about like the infographic stuff and really, really highlighted, drove that home. I think a lot of people talk about it, but they don't always know like exact examples, right, of how to implement, right? Like you were saying, like use the color red, use like contrasting colors that really make your image like pop out, right? Because I see that in my own listings where that if I just focus on split testing my main image over and over, like I can raise my click-through rates, right? And like if you can raise your click-through rates, then that means you're all things are being equal, then you're most likely going to get more sales, right? And if you can increase your impressions too, same thing, right? If you increase your click-through rates, then your ACoS is going to go down, like you were saying. So yeah, guys, really, really drive focus and spend time on getting good photography done for your product. If you can't get good photography done, then or can't afford it for some reason, then there's also the options of like graphic renderings, which I have worked in my for my business too. And sometimes I've actually had situations where the graphic rendering worked better than the photography. But I do think that was because possibly maybe the photography wasn't done in the best way, right? But that's the nice thing about graphic design, right? You can kind of like just like move the image around and you edit it on the fly. But with photography, you need a lot of different angles. And depending on who you have and who you work with, it can be costly. But, good tip that I learned from like Nick and Fernando and a couple other people is like, check Craigslist, check for student college photographers, right? And those might be some of your best photographers, lifestyle photographers that you ever work with. Because to be honest, I think they're undervalued and they don't know the type of talent they had, or they're just looking to add stuff to their portfolio, right? So yeah, just check those out. And those are some areas that you can get started with.
Yeah, to add to that, by the way, I think I like working with photographers. So we have a photographer that's literally a couple, like one block down from us. And I love using him and going there because I know exactly what I'm going for. I can take as many shots as I want on a per hour basis, right? If you send it to someone, let's say someone who specializes in Amazon images, they're going to charge. Sorry?
gonna get my charger real quick.
Okay. So I'll just speak to you guys then. So, if you get someone who specializes in doing Amazon photography, there are people on Fiverr, right? They charge per photo, and it's like an arm and a leg. It could be anywhere from $500 to $800, right? For just one listing. I can literally get 4 products done and as many images as I want done within the span of 1 to 2 hours. So that means I've spent essentially $300 to basically, anywhere from $200 to $300 to get as many photos as I want done. And then we also have a great guy that we use to do $1 a photo retouching, which is super cheap. So all in for all, 4 listings or 4 products, we're able to get all the photography done, all the graphic design done for less than $400, which is pretty insane because a lot of people pay $400 for just photography alone. So that's definitely something to consider. You want to find someone who works on a per hour basis rather than just like on a per image basis, because that's really where you get, you really get like drastically impacted on your margins.
All right, nice. Okay, can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay,
yeah, I can hear you.
All right, perfect. All right, there's been a couple questions. There's been a lot of questions actually since we've been talking. Okay, let's just go through some. Mary Ann asks, do you use lifestyle pictures? So for me, I personally, at the beginning, I wanted to get like lifestyle photography done, but it always costs a lot and it was very expensive. So what I resorted to was actually getting photography of my product, right? Or graphic designs of my product, and then getting like stock images and placing my product in that, right? And I found that to be the most cost-effective, fast way, and I don't know, it was just way less of a hassle just doing that, and I found it to be just as effective in. I haven't compared it, but I have seen my conversions go up by using lifestyle images, right? And then it's only using graphic designs plus images like stacked onto it. So I've seen good results with that. Nick, have you found the same with you, or?
Yeah. So we used to pay a guy like, I'm not even joking, like $1,000 to $1,500 to do one product, right? And he did amazing, beautiful lifestyle images. But again, like it was just so expensive, especially since we're launching so many SKUs a month. It just isn't cost effective, especially if some SKUs might not work out. So, the path of least resistance is exactly what you're talking about. We put stock images, and we haven't found a difference in conversions. Really, it's pretty much been the same. I think there's a massive difference between not having lifestyle images and having lifestyle images, but in terms of whether or not they're authentic lifestyle images versus Photoshop lifestyle images, I haven't really seen a massive difference personally.
Yeah. And guys, like if you work with the right people, like the guys we have like within our course and guys we recommend, it looks pretty real. Okay, like if you're looking on mobile and you're just scrolling through, it looks like it's pretty solid, and you're not going to be like, oh, this is fake, right? For the most part, like they do a really good job at it, or at least the guys we work with. And you guys can find people like that out there possibly. We have some people in the crafting guide that we work with. I know there's some people on Fiverr that can be decent. I've heard of other people having good experiences with that. But yeah, ask around, look for recommendations, and check the crafting guide for areas like that, basically. Will asks do you guys recommend any other vendors besides Fiverr and 99 Designs that are familiar with Amazon that would do infographic on photos? So for me personally, I found like the guys on Fiverr for infographics to be pretty good, but you have to provide but the thing is like working with anyone when it comes to photography or graphic design, you want to be very clear about your expectations, right? I think that's where most people have bad experiences. So what I do personally is I record a Loom video, right? So I record a video on my screen, like visually talking and pointing at certain parts of the product and be like, okay, this is what I want and this is what I want here. And it should say something about blah, 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 this, and then, or I'll provide them the exact copy, right? The more exact details you can give them, the more of a better job they'll do, right? Because they'll just make whatever you envision come to life. But I don't know, if you're like me, like I do have a little bit of trouble with my creative juices. So what I do is I go with my girlfriend. I'm like, hey, this is what I want to do, but like, how can I spruce this up to make it look more pretty, right? So sometimes it just needs a woman's touch or a different, more creative person's touch to it.
Yeah.
Nick, anything you want to say about that?
So look, we've had in-house graphic designers for quite a while. So I think that like has really paid itself off because we have so many SKUs that, just need regular maintenance. But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, you got to be really clear. I think here's a really good tip, and just reminds me, I need to add this to the course too. Is you want to create a brand style guide, and this makes everything easier, right? So find a designer. If you want to pay a lot for someone, up front, this is going to make things a lot easier. You pay them, let's say $500 and say, look, this is my brand. This is what I want to convey. Make my logo, and then tell me exactly the fonts that I want to use. And literally, it's going to be like a Bible that shows any other designer how to make anything that adheres to your brand. That way, you're never going to have to replay it. You're never, when you have a new designer, you're not going to have to explain everything again. You literally just send them this document. It tells them exactly what fonts to use, how to use it, what the logo looks like, all that kind of stuff. And then boom, they can take it away and make anything from that. So that's a huge tip, and I'm going to be including that in the course as well. But yeah, I think that's going to be major. So that's where you can do some upfront costs, invest a lot for that, and then you can find a cheaper designer, let's say in the Philippines or wherever, and you can have them use that to basically replicate that design. Because I think in terms of design work, a lot of people can do design work based off of direction, but in terms of actual creative stuff where they're creating something from scratch, it's going to be hard to find someone who's really, really good at that and can hit home every single time. That's going to need a lot of guidance. So, you want to do that upfront work first.
Okay, yeah, I totally agree with that. So yeah, that basically is like a brand identity package,
Exactly.
or like a branding package. But I mean, some of those fees can go really high, so you got to shop around for like a good, I guess, like service person to work with, or just invest in a little bit of money, depending on how much traction you have with the product or how much you believe in the product going forward, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, having that baseline is like really, really simple, and it helps guide every single piece of design work you do in the future. Not only will it help with like your image and product packaging, right? It will help you with like your branding identity when it comes to like social media, if you ever go down that route, right? Say there's certain influencers you want to work with. They're like, hey, this is the brand identity package. It's like, here's the fonts you can use, here's blah, blah, blah you can use. And it just makes it a lot easier for anyone that you work with in terms of graphic design. And just lays it down of like, this is what you got to do, this and that, and super, super simple.
Totally.
Yeah. Let's see. Next question.
Where did we leave off?
I don't know which one we left off on.
Okay. I know where. Okay, so Namdang asked, how do you measure exactly the traffic from keywords typing in Amazon search box to any product listing on Amazon? So I don't know if I fully understand your question, but how to measure traffic from keywords. So if you want to measure the traffic, I would say Seller Tools, right? That gives you exact search volume. I think one thing to also note is that I also like to actually use Amazon search bar for keyword ideas. So there's this awesome tool. It's called Amazon Suggestion Expander, and it's a Chrome extension. And basically, it helps you find additional keywords that people are looking for through the search bar. But I like to use the search bar to validate my keyword ideas, right? So I might think, oh, small garlic press, or silver garlic press. And I'll literally type in that into Amazon. And if I see that result pop up, then that means that there's some search volume. It validates the fact that people are actually searching for it. And it's just like Google, right? Like if you type in garlic, G-A-R, garlic press might be the first thing that shows up. And then other additional ideas might pop up. And Amazon is going to list the highest, the keywords with the most search volume higher towards that's closer to the search bar. Does that make sense? I don't know if I verbalized that correctly. But basically, yeah.
I mean, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, but basically the search is, like when you search for something, different things will get auto-suggested, right? And using that, you can kind of identify and understand, and we confirm if your ideas for keyword ideas are valid or not, right?
Right.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then Badra asks, are these weekly webinars or impromptu webinars? So right now, we're reaching the end of our weekly webinars. This is kind of to celebrate our launch. This is also to give you an idea of if you guys sign up for the course, you guys can join the registration too, just to get a sense of what it'll be about. But we'll have these basically twice a month Q&As with just the students to really give in-depth answers to questions they might have about their journey. So this is something we don't do often. We've been doing it a lot recently, just to give you guys a taste of what we're offering and also what comes with the course. But yeah, this is the kind of Q&A that we have right now with Anthony is kind of what we'll be having regularly in our private Facebook group.
Yeah, and I mean, we have a lot of fun doing these too. And the good thing about like doing these for us, at least, is it allows us to reflect back on like what we know so far, and it also allows us to reflect on like, oh, we want to add this to the course. We want to add this content to the course. So you guys help us inspire, what content we put in the course, and it allows us to just really reflect back on our journey and understand what we're doing good, what we're doing bad. Because if there's any situation, right, where we can't answer your question, right, then maybe it's something that we need to either go learn, or we need to find a resource that can help you guys out with your question, right?
Totally.
So that's basically that. Um, let's see.
Okay.
Nick, earlier, did you talk about how you found a photographer?
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on it earlier. Like, we found a photographer through referrals. We actually found this awesome photographer from an art school nearby. And literally, I think Craigslist is a great place. If you find students, I think a student is awesome. They're always looking for money, especially if they're from like an art school. So yeah, I mean, I think that, and they're really, really damn good, but they just need direction, and I think you get better and better with direction. You get better in direction the more you do it. So, in the course, I talk about how to visualize everything and how to make sure that you make it as cost effective as possible, because I think that's really important. But yeah, if you can ideally find one photographer that you work with, that you like working with on a regular basis, I think that's ideal. That's what we found to work for us.
Okay, cool. And then Will from Dallas again not asked again, but Wolf from Dallas asks, do you have the $1 photo retoucher vendor contact in the course? And yes, of course we do. And he's an awesome contact that he just makes like images look like shiny, right? It just pops, right? It just like makes it more visually appealing. You know how like when they add like a little shine and there's like the faint shadow that just makes it like perfectly like just crisp. That's what he does, and he just makes everything just like pop a little bit easier.
Totally. I mean, if you think about it, like retouching is freaking expensive. I had the student that I talked about do our retouching at one point, and literally we paid like $500 to retouch like I don't know, like 150 photos. It was so crazy expensive. And like this guy by comparison only cost me 150. So literally by using him, I saved hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And so, yeah, I mean, he's an amazing resource. He can do not only retouching, but also like edits, so you can make your image appear on like a stock image, all that kind of stuff.
Okay, perfect. So like if they want to like move it into like a lifestyle image, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, cool. Amir, Amir brings up a really good point, and he asks, what's a good PPC budget for launching a product? So this part we haven't got to within the pre-launch section yet, but so far, if you guys missed it, we talked about keywords earlier, and we talked about photography so far, and those are two like super important major points, right? Where am I supposed? But it's also important to have your PPC set up, right? So this is also one of the other things that you want set up. It kind of correlates to your keyword research that you do too, right? So whatever keywords you have within your listing, you also do want it in your PPC campaign, right? But in terms of answering Amir's question, Nick, do you have any suggestions on what you would consider a good PPC budget for launching a product?
Yeah. I mean, we definitely go into detail in the course for this. We have an entire strategy called the PPC Blitz strategy, which is all based around how to launch with PPC effectively, right? So it's like an entire module, which is really exciting. But I mean, to kind of give you just like a sense of like what we talk about, I would say a good budget is like $40 to $50 a day. Now that might sound like a lot, but just remember, you're paying Amazon for the data, right? You're trying to get the search term report data from Amazon, so you know exactly what keywords are validated and which ones you want to target. So I like to split it up across like 5 different campaigns, in different match types with 2 different auto campaigns. And then I split that up across, $50. And then I have that budget for around 1 to 2 weeks. And then what I'll do is I'll start to optimize, my campaign. So it becomes cheaper and cheaper over time. And I'm optimizing towards the keywords that are really driving, a lot of volume and cheap traffic my way. And again, like, remember, we talked about the 14-day window, right? Think about the $50 budget a day as like your launch budget. Instead, we never really do giveaways usually, and we are able to just do PPCs. And if you do a $50 a day budget, think of it as like a more targeted giveaway process, right? So, if you're doing it 50, my math is totally off. but 50 times 14, that's $700, right? That you're spending over 2 weeks. But Amazon is going to start ranking you higher and higher because you're showing them that you're willing to spend a lot more to get ranked for those primary keywords. And if your listing is fully optimized, like we're teaching you right now, it'll be a lot easier for you to rank for that first page and take advantage of that 14 that
Exactly. So that was a great question here to like kind of segue us into like the whole PPC section.
Well, sorry, Anthony, real quick. I just want to remind everyone that tomorrow, Sean Smith and we are going over PPC specifically. This is a question for tomorrow. We're going to have another live, but Sean Smith is actually, I'm going to be interviewing him, and we're going to do a Facebook Live with him, and he's a PPC pro. He manages like multiple 8-figure accounts, and he also co-created one of the modules with us. And also co-created the PPC Blitz strategy. So be excited for that if you have a lot of detailed PPC questions.
Yeah, and Sean Smith is like the man. He manages over, for Nick and for now, anywhere from like $50,000 to like $70,000 a month in PPC spend, right? A month in PPC spend. And that's like a lot more than most people's like salaries in a year, right? And he's managing that a month for Nick and for Dano's account. Sean Smith only works with like 7- and 8-figure sellers. So if you guys are looking to hire him, you guys can. Maybe you guys can talk to him if you guys are at the 7- and 8-figure level. But those are the kind of accounts he's managing. And that's who we have within our course, right? Teaching you guys how to set up your PPC campaigns, how to optimize it, how to, do like the research for what PPC keywords to use in there, how to use negative keywords, right? How to use a broad campaign, how to use an auto campaign, how to use exact campaigns, how to use a phrase campaigns, right? There's a lot of little things that you have to really understand when it comes to PPC. And that's why eventually, right, businesses eventually get a dedicated PPC person once they start scaling, because there's just a lot of work that has to be handled. But in the very beginning, right, you want to understand how to set these things up. And so you guys should definitely tune in tomorrow for when Nick is interviewing Sean Smith. I know I am, because there's a couple things that I want to learn a little bit more and like share it with my team. I'm making my team watch it too, so they can pick up some tips. So I don't have to tell them directly either. So yeah. Okay, cool. Well, it says, love the brand style guide pro tip that you were talking about earlier. Thanks, Nick. David also really thought that was a great tip too on the style guide. Awesome. But he does bring, David also brings up the good points of like, say, like using the headline font, body font, logos, logo color ones, white space descriptions, and rules for like age. And that's what the brand identity does, right? And that's what the brand identity guide does. Cool. Cool. Let's see. Michael asks, what is a good brand identity site? Do you happen to remember like who you possibly used in the past, or
a brand identity site? Sorry, I don't think I understand. Like a site to do brand identity?
Just like someone that will help you create your brand identity package.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would say you probably want to find like a US designer, and I have a good designer that I will actually put in the course. She's really, really awesome and not that expensive too. But yeah, I mean, I think, you want to find someone who look at their portfolio of work. There's a ton of designers out there, and just try to find one, and look at their work, and then just, tell them exactly what you're looking for. And then I think a good way to practice this is to say, look, once you get your first product in the door, say, look, I need you to do packaging, but in addition to that, I also want you to do our logo, and I also want you to do our brand style guide, and just expect that you're going to pay a lot right now. But later on down the line, you can just contract someone from the Philippines or let's say Pakistan, and it'll be a lot cheaper. So it's an upfront cost. Yeah.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense. Andrew Black asks, how do you rank for multiple keywords? So we're going to jump into this in the launch section, and we'll be going over that maybe next week, Thursday, Friday.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, man. This week is
So we'll go over like the launch section then. So Andrew, stay tuned for that, and we'll talk about it more. But just to like preface it in relation to what we're talking about here today, the pre-launch section, definitely you have to have all the keywords within basically your listing on the back end or somewhere like that. So that's one thing you definitely need to do. Michael asks, what is your strategy for gaining initial reviews, and do you wait until you have a minimum number before you start PPC? Um,
Anthony, I think
so
this is a question
yeah,
for the launch, right? We're going to do a launch
yeah.
Facebook Live.
Yeah, so for the launch phase, Michael, we're going to dive deep into this. So definitely ask me this again during the launch. But just to like touch upon it a little bit, part of the launch strategy that we have is we have a soft launch section where we identify different groups that we like reach out to in order to figure out how to get those initial reviews, right? How to provide that social proof. So when you do run your PPC, when you do launch, right, and you have the social proof of like at least like 10 reviews on your listing that are ideally 5 stars. So it's easier for you to have a high click-through rate and a high conversion rate. But yeah, definitely ask me that on that part tomorrow. Cool. Badra already says, great info. Thanks, guys. I already joined the MBA masterclass and I was loving it. All right, glad you're loving it. Keep up the questions. Let's see. Will Henderson, do you guys do any off Amazon promotions like Facebook, Instagram ads, drive traffic for launch? So this is something we kind of talk about actually in the post-launch section in terms of how to like drive more traffic, right? So this is like I really like using Nick's example of how the formula for sales, right? So the formula for sales is traffic times conversion, right, equals sales. And those are the two levers you really want to focus on in order to get more sales. So when we're using like Facebook ads or, Instagram ads, we're really focusing on, possibly bringing more traffic. So hitting that lever and bringing warm traffic, right? So it increases the conversions. So that's something we talk about within the influencer stuff that we do. And that's something we go about into optimization section, but we're trying to just cover a lot of stuff about the pre-launch today. Just getting your listing like set up, fully optimized, and by the time you guys are launching before you guys launch your product on Amazon. Okay, let's see. Delia, one of our students in the course, is giving us a random tip, and he says, I don't know if you guys know, but there's a site called noam.com. If you can find it and see if your brand name is trademarked, and it lets you know if your brand name is trademarked and if it's taken on social media sites. Actually, I've heard of sites like this, but it's definitely a resource that we should add to the course. But Nick, essentially what it does is, say I want to look up, say I'm thinking about naming my brand like Anthony's cat toys, right? Then it'll automatically search if like the anthonycattoys.com is taken, .net is taken. It'll also automatically search if like the Facebook URL is taken, the Instagram username is taken, Twitter username is taken, the Pinterest username, and it'll look up and show all that information. Really, I don't think we have that mentioned within the course. I have used something like that before, so I am actually going to go ahead and add it to my notes. And see, guys, that's the thing like I love about like helping out other people and teaching other people, because people like come back and remind us about like these different tips and tricks, and it just comes around like full circle. So Delia, I think that's how you say your name. Appreciate that tip and appreciate us on reminding us about that. So I'm sure that's going to help a lot of people that's watching this live or watching the replay for this. Cool. All right, cool.
Min, I think Min said, for supplement lab testing, how much do you expect to pay? I got quotes from several labs for various tests, and price ranges from low hundreds to high hundreds to low thousands to high thousands. Honestly, I don't know the answer to this question, Min. Fernando is the one who usually deals with that stuff. So I think that might be a question for him when he hops on the next live that we do. I'm going to guess, I think our facility, like it's actually pharmaceutical grade. So we haven't had that much of an issue with like testing and stuff like that, unless you're trying to sell into Canada, which I think you need to get approved. But yeah, I mean, again, like this is just what I think is happening for our business. You should definitely like ask Fernando when he's on there. I don't want to give you false information.
Okay. That's pretty valid. And I personally don't know either. For supplements, like generally you have to get like FDA approval, and there's different labs that do different types of testings. So I assume it just depends on like if it's like something that's topical on your face versus something that's ingestible versus something that's for pets. versus something that's for babies versus something that's for adults or grandparents. So it just really depends, but I would highly recommend getting lab testing done. Uh, yeah. All right. Can you directly link your Amazon? Michael asks, can you directly link your Amazon product link to Instagram or Facebook? You can, but I highly recommend using like a super URL. That's like one of the things we teach within the course. A super URL is pretty public knowledge, and there's plenty of YouTube guides on that. There's a couple that we've used that we found more success in. If you guys haven't seen the newest one, though, that I found the most powerful is so Zon Pages has this feature with inside it where they've created like I don't know like a super URL on steroids. So their typical super URL right now has like your keywords in it, but it doesn't have a quid, right? So a quid is a QID, like this thing that pops up that's generated like on the spot whenever Amazon does a search. So it inputs like the date and the timestamp, and they can automatically do that for you within Zon Pages. So it's super, super powerful. And then what they also do now is they also allowed you to attach a Facebook pixel to it, right? So if you guys, any of you guys are familiar with Facebook ads and Facebook pixels, you can also attach a Facebook pixel onto that. And to even add more on top of it, what they've done within Zon Pages is they have a URL rotator thing where not the URL doesn't rotate, but the keywords can rotate. So you can post one link, but it'll rotate the keywords that you want to rank for. So say you want to rank for, red sock and then orange sock and then 2-pack of socks, right? Like it will rotate all those keywords for you, and you just have to post one link whenever you're posting it to Instagram or Facebook, right? So it's a huge, huge, huge time saver, right? Whenever you're trying to rank products and you're not trying to fumble around with a lot of different links and like dealing with like all these different links you're sending to like, when using services like Rebate Key or Zon Jump or anything like that. So it makes it a lot more easier, Michael. Yeah. And then Lisa and Haley asked us, what was the name of the website that we were talking about earlier? The website that Delia was talking about earlier is, what is it called? It's called noam.com. I'll post it in the comments below if my computer doesn't freeze on me. Noam.com. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. But Nick, so Nick, besides, let's say, like, the keyword research that we've done, the photography, and the graphics, EBC, and setting up your PPC, what else do you think a person should have set up? Should they have like their email follow-ups set up too, or is there anything else that we should cover?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think, you definitely want to set up your PPC. You also want to make sure that you're setting up the super URL, right? So you can use Zon Pages for that. And Zon Pages has an awesome like storefront automatic URL thing that you can use. Zon Pages, by the way, guys, is an awesome tool. It's so freaking cheap. It's like crazy. There's such a good suite of tools. So, and there's a great coupon code in the crafting guide. You guys should definitely check it out. And you can also tie a Facebook pixel to that as well. So it has that exact tool that Anthony was mentioning earlier. And then, definitely you want to set up the feedback sequence. There are two tools that we really like to use. I just recently migrated actually to Feedback Wiz. And so I'm testing that out, but Zon Pages is also a really great, cheap tool that's reliable as well. And that includes an email follow-up sequence. But Feedback Wiz is a really cool tool that we're testing out and allows you to do a lot more triggers and allows you to also see, customers that have left a negative review. So you can do a follow-up sequence based off of that. Now, I want to, give a caveat, which is that a lot of people, if you're asking for them to change the review, do not put that in your wording because people are getting their accounts banned because of that. So make sure that you're really careful. Don't mention review. Don't even mention reviews in your email sequence. Just use the word feedback. Okay, just honest feedback. That's all you want. You're looking for honest feedback because you want to avoid those reviews as much, the ban as much as possible.
Yeah, you do not want to get banned off Amazon. That is always like a huge annoying thing. Getting suspended from Amazon and dealing with things like that. It's not fun. And trust me, you don't want to be in that situation. Okay, cool.
All right. I think we're going to wrap up soon, right? Let's just take a couple more if there's any questions.
Yeah, okay. Just to repeat again for Lisa and Haley, the website was called Gnome.com. Gnome.com is like an easy way for you to check if like the domain or brand name that you want for your product, your future brand is taken within like the .com, .net URLs or any of the social media websites. Okay, cool. Okay. And then asks is how would you vet a U.S. supplement manufacturer? And all the ones I contacted have little to no online reviews. I know one thing that Nick and Fernando have done is they actually visited a supplement supplier. And when you visit a supplement supplier, I'm sure like off the bat you could kind of tell if they're legit or not. I know Nick and Fernando went to their facility and they were just like, they're legit.
Yeah.
Like off the bat.
Yeah. So I mean, Min, what you could probably find is you could probably find a supplement manufacturer that that also produces generic pharmaceuticals. And if that's the case, that means that their entire laboratory is like super legit because they have to have all the certifications in order to produce any kind of generic over-the-counter drugs. So that's something that you might want to look for. A lot of these like supplement manufacturers do not have all those certifications, so they can't make any kind of generic pharmaceuticals. And oftentimes the supplement companies that can do generics, they have like a really, really like legit system. And because of that, they're just literally plugging nutraceuticals into their system. They're just adding it, as an additional revenue source. And that means that they're super legit. They have all the labels down. Everything is down. They're tested to basically medical grade. Because as you know, supplements aren't vetted as stringently as supplements. So, as a pharmaceutical stuff. So you want to find someone who can do both. And I think that'll be like a bullseye for you.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then I guess for us to just like wrap it up with the last question, I think it's a little broad but general, and it's a good point that Michael is bringing up. But he asks is, do you see Amazon becoming super saturated anytime soon, or do sellers have to become more creative to compete? What do you think, Nick?
I think this is a legit question, right? I mean, when we first joined, like we could buy reviews. And before that, like in 2011, someone could literally just put a listing up and just make money, right? I mean, there's no competition. And I think, now people are catching wind. There's definitely more and more competition. But I think you got to realize that, Amazon is still projected to increase, right? So we have some of these stats on our landing page, but Amazon is projected to gross $220 billion in sales. And last year they did $170 billion. So that's a $50 billion increase from last year to this year. 50. Okay. So that's a lot of wiggle room of just increase in sales. So, I mean, I think like generic products, like, maybe it's going to be a little more difficult. That's why you have to get smart about how you merchandise your product, how you beat your competition, which is something that we go in depth into in our course, because it's something we address and a lot of people are worried about. But, that's where these fundamentals come in terms of being able to evaluate your competition, being able to merchandise your product effectively, having really advanced tactics when it comes to optimizing your listing and PPC strategies. These are all fundamental things that aren't going to go away. They're not cheap tactics like, let's say, giveaways or like buying reviews. These are things that will apply to any kind of business that you go into that's marketplace or SEO related. So, I mean, it's getting more and more competitive, but that means that you really need to emphasize the fundamentals of what makes a business good. And, Amazon is constantly increasing, right? They're expanding into other countries, and in 2019, I'm sure they're going to project another increase of, tens of billions of dollars, which still means more and more opportunity for everyone else. So, Amazon only has like a 1 in 2 penetration in the US. And I don't see anyone else. Their closest competitor is Walmart. No one has even caught up to them. So, I mean, I just see it as like, we're still early, despite what you might think. It wasn't as easy as it was 3 years ago. But if you, have the right knowledge, you can definitely make this work and build a consistent business, in my opinion.
Okay, and all right. So before I, give my 2 cents on this, can everyone in this room give, Nick a round of applause? Could you drop him some likes and give him some thank yous of all the knowledge that he's dropped on this? He deserves a couple likes, he deserves a couple hearts. But yeah, Nick's dropped a lot of knowledge on just what to pre-launch, right? And this is only honestly, we could have like a 3-hour conversation, 4-hour conversation on here, and we would still not be able to get through like all the things that you could do to get ready, to have your product ready for when you launch your product on Amazon, right? There's just like all these things, like their email follow-up sequence. We didn't fully get into that, like of how to optimize like the search subject, the headline, the copy inside it, images, handouts within it, like things like that. But we covered that all within our course and whatnot. But yeah, if you guys want to know more and get like a quick preview of that, make sure you guys join us for the live webinar that we're having on Friday. The link is in the pinned post that's attached to this Facebook Live and everything. But like always, like we're here to help you guys. Let us know what questions you guys have in comments. We'll follow up on you with you guys. But if you guys do have questions about the course, about the webinar, just like PM us, let us know. Course links, you can like find it. It's I don't know, p something .com. But you'll see it around and whatnot. But yeah, if you guys want to know more about that, I highly recommend you guys join the webinar that we're gonna have. The workshop that we're gonna have this Friday, because we're gonna go into the 3 major things that were like the huge game changer mindsets and actionable tips and contents and strategies that change our businesses when on Friday and everything. So, and then just to add my 2 cents, Amazon's not going away anytime soon. All right, Amazon's like the biggest company. It's just projected to be the first $1 trillion company. And if you guys want to be on top of this wave and be a part of the wave, I highly recommend you do it now. And there's also another thing that I always hear, like some of my mentors say, right? They always say it's easier to get 1% of a multi-billion-dollar company, a multi-billion-dollar industry, than it is to try to get into an opportunity that's only $1 million opportunity. So, like, you guys can do this. I mean, like, I'm doing it. Nick is doing it at like 10 times X what I'm doing. And there's plenty of people that are doing it, at all different levels within the Amazon game. And the fact that you guys are here watching us right now means that you guys know, deep down, you guys know that there is opportunity somewhere within this Amazon thing. So, we're here to help. So let us know if you guys have any questions, like always. But other than that, Nick, do you have any closing comments?
Nah, man. I hope to see you guys in the private label MBA workshop. So definitely join us. There's a link there. Otherwise, I'm really looking forward to these Facebook Lives. I've been really enjoying this. So it's been really fun to just interact with everyone.
All right, cool. All right, thanks for all the thank you guys. So Michael, Amir, Will, thanks for coming back on again. Delia, thank you for joining.
Thank you, guys.
The course. I hope it helped. Min, thanks for showing back up like always. And Michael, some great questions tonight. So we'll see you guys around. All right, but other than that, you guys have a great night. See you guys.
Easy. Bye.